Welcome back to another edition of the Fat Boys Dynasty podcast. Here, as always, Bo and Brant coming at you. This week, we decided to do something a little bit different. We're going to get out of our individual position rankings. Last week, we did quarterbacks. We're going to take a break because we actually just completed a Dynasty Superflex startup draft with our fellow guys that are associated with the FantasyHolics page. And Brant and myself thought it would be a good idea to take you guys through our 27-round draft, just so you could kind of see where there's some value at, and so you could kind of keep track of the guys at the FantasyHolics page that are putting out info every week, and kind of see where our minds are at, as well as the other guys associated with the page.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to try to break down roughly every week as our matchups go on throughout the season, keep you guys updated on the standings.
Yeah, I mean,
tell you who's might be tanking.
Yeah, I definitely think it's interesting because in a league this big, it'll be interesting to see how waiver wires pan out. We'll be able to bring on some deep waiver wire guys. Because if they're available on the waiver in this league, they're probably available in your league. This is a league that the starting positions or the roster breakdown is it's super flex. So you have your one quarterback, two running backs, three wide receivers, a tight end, two regular flex spots. That's super flex spot, a kicker, and a defense. It's got four taxi squad spots, and then a pretty deep bench as well. So, what better way to kind of kick off, the offseason by talking about an actual draft. Again, it gives you guys kind of some insight at what players went in what rounds. If you're getting ready to do a super flex, obviously, if you're not getting ready to do a super flex and you're getting ready to do a dynasty startup, you'll still kind of see what names went where and see how that kind of breaks out and breaks down. So, Brant, if you're ready, I'm ready to get started. What we kind of thought we'd do is we'd kind of go round through round and talk about some great picks that we really liked and maybe some reaches, and then at the end we'll kind of break down the rosters of a couple of the teams that we think will be contending this year and talk about some teams that are probably preparing to get ready for the rookie draft next year. So, Brant, if you're ready, let's get this thing cracking.
Go ahead, run us through that first round real quick.
You want all picks from the first round?
Yeah, run us through the first 12 picks. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go round by round, weaving in and out, and we'll talk about a couple players, couple positions.
Yeah, I know there's one you're definitely waiting, Brant, to kind of jump my decision that I made at pick 9.
I wouldn't say jump. I just want to question it, see where your head's at.
So we'll get there. So again, it's a super flex. So pick 101, you had Josh Allen, followed by Patrick Mahomes, Jonathan Taylor, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Najee Harris, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Dak Prescott, and to round out, Javonte Williams at the 112. Again, it is a 12-man league 12-team league if I didn't say that already.
Absolutely. The first four picks I think are pretty much your standard 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 through 8 are pretty much where they should be. It's just, you can mix and match them a little bit. I'm not a fan of Jackson. I know you're not a fan of Jackson, so I'm sure we're all taking Murray over him.
Yeah.
And probably Najee and...
Yeah, I mean, it's a super flex, so I get the taking of Lamar Jackson early, but you got a running back that you can plug into the quarterback spot. Yeah. It is what it is.
Starting 3 running backs.
Yes.
I want to discuss 9 and 10. I know you were. By the way, I'm at the 1. I had the 101. Finley, Bo over here had the 9th pick. And this is something I want to discuss. I really want to look into Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. What made you take Jefferson over Chase? I know Chase finished a little better than Jefferson last year, I believe. What makes you choose Jefferson over Chase here?
Well, actually, Brant, by PPR standards, Justin Jefferson was one spot higher than Jamar Chase last year. But for me, it was pretty simple. They're both young, right? They're both 22 years of age. And Justin Jefferson's going into his 3rd year. He's already done it for 2 years. His rookie year, he finished as the wide receiver 6 in PPR formats, and last year was the wide receiver 4 in PPR formats. Things are trending in the right direction for him. The targets are high. They shouldn't be getting any lower. There's it's the pecking order in Minnesota it's Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, tight end position's kind of wide open, and then it's Dalvin Cook, and that's basically all you got in Minnesota. And for me, it was Honestly, there wasn't a whole lot of internal debate. I did kind of go back and forth, but for just a brief second, I think I spent a total of maybe 10 minutes on the clock in a slow draft, just because the way it played out, and I kind of knew who I wanted, where I wanted them. But Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, this is one that really I could have flipped a coin with and been equally as happy with either one of them. Yes, I would say that Jamar Chase has a better quarterback for longer period in Dynasty, but Justin Jefferson's been just fine, and I don't think Kirk Cousins gets a lot of the respect that he deserves. But it was Justin Jefferson for me, and like I said, it was because he's done it for an additional season, and they're about the same age.
Okay, definitely. I mean, yeah, they're the same age, 22, 6'1", both are 6'1". Jefferson's 195 to 200, Jamar Chase. The only thing that swings me a little bit in this, I understand 100% where you're coming from. The only thing that sways me a little bit is Joe Burrow being tied to Jamar Chase for years to come. I think that's the foundation of that offense, and I really feel like that's where you're going to start, is Burrow and Chase are just going to be together a little longer. The question mark with Cousins is Cousins going to be there after this year? Jefferson is going to probably see more double coverage than Jamar Chase will, due to the fact of Chase having Higgins there. They can't really double him.
You could make that same argument for Jefferson with Thielen too, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, that in my mind, that is a toss-up. It's whoever do you prefer better. There's not one way or another that I'm going to persuade you to go one way or not. Jefferson and Chase are both going to be fantasy producers, top-end fantasy producers for years to come. I was just curious what made you lean that way. Like I said, I lean a little bit the other way, and I just think maybe that's my love for Burrow is more getting in the way of that.
Sure.
You know that starting our other dynasty last year, that I wasn't leaving that draft without Burrow, and I may have left without him, but it didn't take me but a couple days to get him.
2 years ago, that was Burrow's
2
rookie
years
year
ago,
when
my
we
fault.
started up our first dynasty.
But it didn't take me long to go get him.
Do you see any reaches in the first round? Anything that kind of shouldn't, in your mind, shouldn't be a first-round pick?
I do, and I'm going to get into that here. I want to run through the first 4 picks of the second round, and I'm going to tell you who I think that should have been in that spot. And I'm going to hit 2 reaches at once right there. So at the 112, you had Javonte Williams. At the 201, you had Deshaun Watson. 202, you had DeAndre Swift. 203, you had Jalen Hurts. 204, you had you picking Trey Lance, which I absolutely love. Trey Lance right there. I love that you were able to make that your QB1. You know that that's going to be the future there in San Francisco, and you know that he has that rushing upside. So my reach here in the first round is Javonte Williams over DeAndre Swift. I just don't see it. You're looking at Javonte Williams, who is sharing a workload in Denver with Melvin Gordon again. I know it's only a 1-year deal with Melvin Gordon, but the thing with Javonte Williams going before Swift, you know, is the number 1 there in Detroit. Detroit is on that upswing. As you're looking at Denver, they're looking like they may lean a little more towards the pass. You don't see Russell Wilson doing a whole lot of dump-offs up in Seattle, so the pass catching is not going to be there. Goff has always supported a pass-catching back, even going back to Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley had ample opportunities to make catches back in L.A., and DeAndre Swift there, I think, in my mind, I'm putting DeAndre Swift going as early as the 1-9, and him going to the 202 was just crazy. The other reach I have is at the 201, Deshaun Watson. You can't lean on that to be your QB1 right there in the second round. I get it, he's probably not going to last through the second round, but Deshaun Watson, the question marks on him, you don't even know if he's going to be in Cleveland anymore with everything else that's coming out. Cleveland has an out for it. So
yeah, I kind of think that you might be right, Brant. I kind of thought Deshaun Watson was a reach too, and I don't want to spend too much time on it since you already alluded to it. But my question then to you, Brant, would be, I certainly wouldn't have taken him in the second round if he'd have been on the board at my pick. Where would you be comfortable taking Deshaun Watson in a Superflex Dynasty startup?
So if you're looking and you drafted a QB in the first round and there's nothing better on the board, maybe in the middle of the second round where you saw Herbert, Burrow, Jackson, and Murray go, maybe you take a gamble on Watson, but you've got to come back with something else like a Mac Jones, Tom Brady, or an older quarterback. We'll talk about those later and where they fell to. I'm comfortable adding him as my second QB and waiting on him. But really, in my mind, I'm probably waiting until late third, early fourth, really, because the question mark is there. You just don't know what you're going to get. He could possibly be out of football for 2 possibly 3 years now before he touches the football in a real game again. Deshaun Watson is such a question mark drafting this early. Now, we may be talking about him being a great pick at the 201 when it gets closer to the season. We see how this plays out. But a draft this early, I can't pull the trigger as my QB1.
If Deshaun Watson's attorney stops making jokes about the situation, maybe I'd have a little faith in him playing this year. I don't see it happening. We'll see. Another one that I want to talk about, they're not more so reaches, but they're kind of, in my opinion, steals, seeing them go this late, is Christian McCaffrey at the 2.6. That's a huge steal in my mind. And then also Cooper Kupp at the 2.7.
Now you said 2.6, 2.7. At the 2.05 was Kyle Pitts. We did miss that one because I ran through the first four.
I think that's about appropriate for Kyle Pitts.
Absolutely.
He's the one exception to, in my opinion, taking a tight end in a dynasty startup that early. You could make the argument in redrafts about Travis Kelce, whatever, but in a dynasty startup, Kyle Pitts that early, that's about appropriate in my mind. It's not a reach, it's not a steal, it's appropriate. I think McCaffrey and Kupp, these are guys that have been at the top of their position, and Kupp last year was historic. If those guys come out and do what they have done in the past at those spots, those are absolute steals in my mind.
Absolutely, and that was the 2.6, 2.7. Even the 2.8, I think you're looking at a steal there in CeeDee Lamb. He's going into a pass-friendly offense, and he's going to be the number one target getter there in Dallas. Those three right there, 6, 7, and 8 of McCaffrey, Kupp, and Lamb, absolute steals in the middle of the second round. I really see those guys could be sliding up to the end of the first, beginning of the second round. So getting them right there in the middle, especially when you Seth added Kyler Murray and Christian McCaffrey together, and then Great White with Steve with Lamar Jackson and Cooper Kupp. Great start there, and even
he's got a great running back and great quarterback or great wide receiver. But where's his quarterback?
That's true. That's going to be the question mark. I got you. So to round out the second round, we had at the 2.9, we had Breece Hall, 2.10, Joe Mixon, 2.11, which I think is an absolute steal here, is Diggs out of Buffalo. Amazing pick there at 2.11 to go with Patrick Mahomes. And then at the 2.12, I grabbed Russell Wilson, which I later then traded right before the end of the draft, but we'll break that down when we get to all the players that were a part of that trade. I grabbed Russell. That showed up two quarterbacks right there, right off at the 101 and the 212. Then
you were the first person to shore up that quarterback spot.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that if I was going to do this super flex, I was going to have a good base.
Which it makes it a little easier having back-to-back picks. Yes. I think is fair.
The trade that I made later for Russell, I mean that also was another homer pick too. Me being a Seahawks fan, I understand. I've had a lot of downtime with Russell Wilson to where if I owned him, he didn't play very well, so I was kind of okay with getting rid of him. We'll break that down here in just a little bit. I'm gonna run through this third round real fast, and I'm gonna hear what you think of it. At the 301, Dalvin Cook. The 2 was Stafford, Devontae Adams, Travis Etienne, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Mark Andrews, and Deebo Samuel to round out the third round.
You know, my favorite pick of this round because of the value is Deebo Samuel. The last pick of the third round in a 12-man league, you're talking about a guy who is the ultimate gadget. He should be the number one weapon in San Fran this year, going into his 4th season. I know there was those talks. Is he going to report? Is he going to demand a trade? Whatever. But Deebo Samuel, I think, is an absolute steal in the 3-12 there. And then if I have to talk about another one, I don't think it's a reach necessarily, okay? And I'm talking about Travis Etienne at the 3-4 because I'm very high on Travis Etienne this year. But it is kind of shocking to see him go in front of Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, and Saquon Barkley. And if this was a redraft, I think that'd be absolutely ludicrous.
Yes.
But with it being a dynasty startup, it makes sense. I can see the value there. But, you know, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, and Austin Eckler, I'll leave Saquon Barkley out there. I didn't really like taking Saquon Barkley. That was my pick in that round. It felt like he fell too far, and I had to kind of take him. I did not want him. But Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, and Austin Eckler are going to have bigger impact this year than Travis Etienne will, in my opinion. So I think Lucas is going to have to wait on Etienne a little bit maybe. I think he's going to be good this year. But Breece Hall and Travis Etienne being his pairing to start his backfield, I think he shirted up a little later with another pick we'll talk about in a few rounds. But already having Brees Hall, I think I personally would have went with a little bit more of a established back there. But I don't hate the pick. It's this early. It's hard to come up with reaches, really.
Really, yeah, it is. The thing I see with Lucas making sense here is the fact young quarterback and two young running backs in Brees Hall and Travis Etienne. So he shored up the youth of his backfield. Like you said, we'll talk about how he shored it up a little bit better later on in the draft. But so I think Etienne there does make sense to where he fell. But yeah, once again, going in front of Kamara, Henry, Chubb, and Eckler is just crazy. One of my favorite picks in this round was the 311 Ryan grabbing Mark Andrews, the number 1 tight end last year. He's still fairly young, only 26, so great age.
That's real young for a tight end.
That is, so great age. He finished number 1. He is Lamar Jackson's favorite target when Lamar decides to throw. We know that in the crunch time, Lamar is going to Mark Andrews. So grabbing him at the 311 to shore up a top 5 tight end in the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, potentially.
That amazing pick there, absolutely phenomenal. AJ Brown is a question mark pick. You don't really know what's going to happen there in Philly, but I understand it with the stack with Jalen Hurts in the round before. So, I mean, really, this round kind of plays out almost perfect. I don't see too many reaches besides maybe the Etienne. Like I said, I can definitely see the case why he takes him. Devontae Adams, amazing pick in the 3rd round. You're talking about a guy that's, finished in the top 5 wide receivers for, the last 2 years. So, amazing pick there, too. You want to go ahead and get us into the 4th round?
Yeah, so I'll take you through the 4th. The first pick was Derek Carr, Trevor Lawrence, Antonio Gibson, Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Waddle, Drake London, Cam Akers, Tyreek Hill, Terry McLaurin, J.K. Dobbins, and Kenneth Walker.
Just since you took Dobbins right before me, definitely was the guy I was eyeballing. Amazing pick there. I want to talk about a trade that happened that somebody moved back 1, 2, 3 spots and grabbed what is possibly to shore up his young wide receivers. You grabbing Drake London in that round is amazing because you shored up with Jefferson and London. You know London's going to be the guy. I know it's a little homer pick for you, too, in Atlanta, so you absolutely love him. But London right there in the 4th round, first rookie wide receiver off the board is the smart thing to do. And like I said, you shored up your I forgot it's 3 wide receiver start. So you showed up your first 2 wideouts with Jefferson and London. So I think that's an amazing pick. One of my reaches here, Derek Carr. Going before Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. Also going before Waddle, I think is a little bit of a reach. I think you're in the right round, but I think there was better options on the board. Dobbins still being on the board, Tyreek Hill on the board. I think a little bit of a reach going after Carr. But I do understand you grabbing Carr with, picking Deshaun Watson early. You needed to shore up your QB1 because if Watson is suspended. But like I said, Fields and Lawrence there. Maybe you make the case for over Fields since the Bears refused to do anything with him. Even Rodgers in the 4th, I think I'd probably pull.
I'm going to disagree with you here, Brant. I love Derek Carr here, and the reason I love him is because the potential is there. Devontae Adams came to town. Darren Waller's there. They re-signed Hunter Renfrow. The potential's there, and Derek Carr's been a fantasy-relevant quarterback, and I actually think Derek Carr's got a really strong chance to be a top 10 quarterback for a few more years, several more years realistically. And if Deshaun Watson happens to play, that's a great 1-2 punch with Watson and Carr. I don't dislike that pick at all. I think it's a matter of opinion whether you like Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields over Derek Carr. Again, if you didn't like what you saw out of Trevor Lawrence and didn't like what you saw out of the Bears this offseason, I don't agree with taking Derek Carr there.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers as the first quarterback for Brian with Team Castle Black was kind of shocking. I don't love getting a quarterback that old for your first quarterback. And really, that's probably about the only thing. I think you could make the argument that Drake London was a little bit of a leap for me, but I wanted it to have my Falcon. One of the things I love to do is have one player for my favorite team, and it kind of stings a lot when that favorite team is the Atlanta Falcons because there's not a whole lot of fantasy relevancy there. But outside of Kyle Pitts, it's got to be Drake London in a dynasty startup. So, I went with my heart there a little bit over my brain and traded Justin Fields and moved back to get Drake London. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm going to run through this fifth round real fast. One name that really surprised me that he did last till the fifth is at the 5-7. But at the 5-1, T. Higgins, 2, DK Metcalf, 3, Kirk Cousins, 4, Michael Pittman, 5, Jerry Jeudy, 6, David Montgomery, 7, Travis Kelce, 8, DJ Moore, 9, Josh Jacobs, 10, Aaron Jones, 11, Deontay Johnson, and 12, James Conner. That rounds out our fifth round there. Who's your favorite pick in that round?
My favorite pick is probably Kirk Cousins for Jeremiah with Team Average Joe there. Jeremiah didn't have a quarterback yet going into the fifth round, and I think realistically, Kirk Cousins is about as good as you're getting there. This is a guy that we talked about a couple episodes ago. He's always hanging around as a quarterback 1 in 12-man leagues. And there's some quarterbacks that we're taking in front of him that have never finished that high. He's got great weapons in Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and Dalvin Cook. So I really like Kirk Cousins there. If I had to have a reach in this round, it'd probably be maybe James Conner, just because of some of the running backs that come off a little bit later than him. Not a whole lot of value after him, but there's some that we'll talk about in the next round that I probably would have preferred over James Conner, just because with James Conner's injury history and things of that nature. Another pick I really liked, but I'll let you talk about it more because I'm thinking this is probably your pick, is Michael Pittman. I really like Michael Pittman there for Lucas Shepard to shore up his wide receivers with Tyreek Hill.
Absolutely. My favorite pick in the round is Travis Kelce there at the 5-7. Shoring it up with a nice tight end there in the fifth round, a guy that's going to probably still be top 2, top 3, probably in the next 3 years. He has solidified himself as Patrick Mahomes' favorite target. He's going to be Patrick Mahomes' favorite target for years to come with Tyreek Hill out the door. So that by far is my favorite. My other one is Michael Pittman. I love Michael Pittman this year. You're giving Matt Ryan a solidified number 1 wide receiver in Indy that he hasn't had since Julio left. Well, I guess he did have Ridley that one year, but Ridley's had his ups and downs. We don't need to talk about that one right now. But Michael Pittman getting into this offense with Matt Ryan. We've seen Matt Ryan support two wide receivers. We've seen Matt Ryan support a great tight end and a great wide receiver. Matt Ryan throwing him the ball is a huge upgrade from Carson Wentz. And Michael Pittman just last year finished as the wide receiver 17 with Carson Wentz throwing the football to him. Amazing. A great pick there to shore up that the wide receivers there to go with Tyreek Hill on Lucas's team. Another pick, a pick that I'm not a fan of is James Conner. I just don't trust James Conner to stay healthy. I'm just not too sure about the Arizona backfield. I just don't know what to really think of it. They added one. I know it was late in the draft this year. They still got Benjamin sitting there, but James Conner is just a guy that's just he's there. And some weeks he's great, and some days he's just average, and it really isn't anything to write home about. There's a couple names after in the next round that absolutely I think should have went ahead of him.
Yeah, so let's just go through the next round.
Yeah, go ahead. There's not really a pick I hate in that round.
At the sixth round, first pick, A.J. Dillon, followed by Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans, George Kittle, Tua Tagovailoa, Tom Brady, Mac Jones, Darren Waller, Zeke Elliott, Elijah Mitchell, Keenan Allen, and Treylon Burks.
Now go ahead and hit the 7-1 because I picked Williams there at the 7-1. So it was Burks and Williams at the 6-12, 7-1 on that spin. 2 rookie wideouts going. I'm not even going to discuss that or talk about that right now. My favorite pick, we're in round 6. Wow, eyes just eluded me here. Favorite pick round 6, Tua. Love it. Shoring him up as your QB2 with Rodgers. Tua got multiple weapons. You know that's going to be a pass-first offense because they're not going to rely on those running backs there. So Tua in that round, I absolutely love. I'll leave this for you because I know you're going to address this guy. You like him. He's not your favorite. He's not your least favorite, but I'm pretty sure you're going to address that 6-9 pick there as your favorite in there. So I'll leave that for you. The 6-10, I'm a little iffy on the San Fran backfield. I don't know how I feel about it. So Mitchell is kind of in the right area, but I mean, you got to remember they did draft Trey Sermon, who had fumbling issues and injury problems. They did draft Trey Sermon before him, and then they added Davis Price in the draft this year. So San Francisco's backfield just is kind of wishy-washy for me. I try to tend to avoid that as much as I can.
Yeah, actually, the 6'10 Elijah Mitchell I love because Jeremiah paired Elijah Mitchell with Jonathan Taylor and Joe Mixon. So that backfield's pretty stacked. If Elijah Mitchell's your third option at wide receiver, you're doing something right.
Running back.
Running back. But yeah, Lucas Shepard grabbed Zeke Elliott at the 6'9". Zeke falling that far when he's never been outside of the top 10 in PPR is amazing, or hasn't been, with the exception of maybe his one down year where he missed some games. But pairing Zeke with Breece Hall and Travis Etienne is amazing.
Still finished 13 in that year after missing 6 games.
So Zeke this late, and again, I'm not a huge fan of Zeke overall, but this late I absolutely love Zeke. There was a small part of me that was hoping Zeke would come back around to me in the next round. Obviously, that did not happen. Another pick I'll talk about that I absolutely did not like in this round was my own pick of George Kittle at the 6'4". Very similar to with Saquon Barkley a few rounds earlier. It was just a player that I felt had fallen too far. I was eyeballing him slightly at the 5'9", hoping he'd be gone by the time it got back to me, but unfortunately that wasn't the case, so I went ahead and pulled George Kittle. Don't love George Kittle at the 6'4" necessarily because of his injury history. He can't seem to stay on the field. But when he plays, he's a top 5 tight end. So that was one. And then, I like Tua as well. But again, the question mark for me with Tua on the roster he fell to, which is, again, Brian with Castle Black, is Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a whole lot. Aaron Rodgers is the guy that if he decides he doesn't like what Green Bay's doing, he could hang it up and retire tomorrow. Okay? And then when you have Tua as your backup or your second quarterback in a super flex, we really still don't know what we're getting into. I've been the biggest Tua supporter there is. For a long time, Tua was as a starting quarterback in fantasy was a hill I was willing to die on alone. That was a battle I was willing to take. And this is a make or break year for Tua. If he can't do it this year, his career is probably done. I mean, not done, but you know what I'm saying. Like Miami will look to address that if he can't do it this year. The roster around him is too good, and if he doesn't step up and prove it this year, that could be all they wrote for him. So, but that's just kind of where I stand on that. I may be wrong, but take us through the 7th round there, Brant.
Jameson Williams, as I said, is 7-1. Chris Godwin, 7-2. T.J. Hawkinson, 7-3. Zach Wilson at the 4. Winston at the 5. James Cook at the 6. CEH at the 7. Rashad Bateman at the 8. Garrett Wilson at the 9. Amon-Ra St. Brown at the 10. Damian Harris at the 11. And Dalton Schultz at the 12.
I'm not going to step on your toes here because I know you're going to talk about that 7-12. You were a big Dalton Schultz guy last year. I'm going to talk about Jameis Winston at the 7-5. This is a guy going in the 7th round in a super flex that in years when he's been healthy and been the starter, he puts up amazing fantasy stats. And he's going into an offense this year that's going to have hopefully a healthy Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, who they added this offseason, and Chris Olave. This should be Jameis Winston's recoming. He had the LASIK eye surgery a few years ago, which apparently he was playing with horrific vision, which would make sense as to why he could throw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. But if they let him air the ball out in New Orleans, they let him get creative, which if Alvin Kamara has any kind of suspension time, they should lean on that pass game. This could be a year where you see Jameis Winston come back onto the scene as a top 10 quarterback. I wouldn't vote on it. I wouldn't hold my breath. But as a guy in the 7th round in a super flex, that's pretty awesome.
He finished 4th 3 years ago before his LASIK, and we saw what he did at the beginning of last year before he had that devastating injury. Winston's a guy that's definitely going to be able to hang up some numbers and all the weapons, and they got a good line in front of him. Winston's a guy that I definitely could see creeping into that QB1 conversation. One of my favorite picks is Dalton Schultz here. He has all the potential in the world to be a top 5 tight end in that offense in Dallas. It's a pass-heavy offense, and, Gallup, I believe, will be missing some time to start this year. And he's on how long do they re-sign Gallup for?
think he's got 2 years left.
2 years left, and then CeeDee Lamb, and then Zeke's getting older.
Amari Cooper's out the
Yeah,
door.
Amari Cooper's out the door, which is opening up multiple targets. Dalton Schultz is a guy that I really like. I absolutely love grabbing him at the 7-12. Johnny did a great job there, getting a nice tight end that is a prove-it tight end, but definitely has shown flashes.
Finished top 3 last year.
Yes.
So, I mean, if he replicates that, you're going to be very happy.
My favorite pick is going to be Bateman, and I love Bateman.
But he doesn't have a quarterback.
I understand that, and I'm hoping to everything holy that Lamar Jackson kind of does hold out, and he might actually get a quarterback to throw the football. I like Bateman's upside there. I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. He's got all the potential in the world if he could just get somebody to throw him the football. And unfortunately, he has Lamar Jackson. And that's the only downfall that I can say to Bateman. Look at his college tape and his stats there in college. And even when he played last year, he had multiple opportunities. And then what did we say, 139, I believe, 145 vacated targets going into that offense that have to get funneled somewhere, and not all 145 are going to go to Mark Andrews.
If I had to pick on somebody in this round, Brant, it's going to have to be you with Jameson Williams.
That's funny because I was about to say the same thing, but I don't.
The only reason I'm going to pick on you a little bit is just because of how much time he's probably going to miss to start the season. And you did a good job of shoring it up at the turn at your next couple of picks. But Jameson Williams is a guy that drafting him in the 7th round. If you don't already have the setup with your wide receivers, again, this is a 3 wide receiver starting league. It's gonna hurt you the first several weeks when he's out. Again, like I said, you did do a good job shoring it up, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But Jameson Williams at the 7 is a guy that you have to be willing, if you take him, to make sure that you solidify that wide receiver picks later, because you're gonna miss him for a while. Point blank period. That's all there is to it.
Absolutely. I wasn't thrilled with grabbing Williams at the 7. The reason I did is I love his upside when he does come back. I love what Detroit is doing with that offense. I understand, they got Swift and Amon St. Brown and TJ Hockenson. But we talked about that last week. There's so many mouths to feed. This guy, in my mind, after watching him play at Alabama and seeing the tape, he is head and shoulders above the rest of the receiving core there. And we've seen Jared Goff support 2 good wide receivers and a top 10 tight end that back in L.A. So this is a guy that I, in my mind, when I picked him, like I said, I'm not 100% thrilled with this pick. When I picked him, I knew he was going to be sitting on my taxi squad for at least half the year, if not the full year. This is a guy that I'm willing to wait on, and I really love his upside. And I didn't think that he was going to make it back around to me, so I felt like this was the round that I had to take him.
Okay, let's go through the 8th round. At the 8-1, you had Cortland Sutton, followed by Marquise Hollywood Brown, Damian Pierce, Ryan Tannehill, Devontae Smith, Darnell Mooney, Kenny Pickett, Miles Sanders, Tony Pollard, Matt Ryan, Devin Singletary, and Brandon Cooks. My favorite pick in this round is real simple. It's Matt Ryan at the 8-10. You're talking about a guy who's coming out of a bad offense in Atlanta, going into a great offensive line in Indy, the best run game Matt Ryan's ever had in his career with Jonathan Taylor, and truth be told, should have a great year. I think Matt Ryan's still got some gas left in the tank. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's been several years ago now in 2016. I feel like it was just yesterday on Matt Ryan's MVP year. This is a guy who's been an MVP of the league before, and as your second quarterback with Kirk Cousins, Jeremiah, I love Matt Ryan. I think you're a little older at the quarterback position, but again, you did address that a little bit later on. I love Matt Ryan here.
My favorite is Marquise Brown. He's going in. He's going to be the wide receiver 1. He's getting reunited with Kyler Murray. And, I mean, Hopkins missing some time this year. 6-game suspension. Yeah. So, I mean, all those targets are going to be up in the air. Christian Kirk gone. Chase Edmonds gone. Marquise Brown is going to get a lot of funneled targets towards him, and we know that his deep threat is – this is a guy that a lot of people said he can't catch the ball. He actually had less drops than a lot of other guys did with how many targets he did see with 145. He had 6 total drops. I think he actually had less drops than players like T. Higgins and Deontay Johnson and there was another name on that, and it's Diggs. He had less drops than those three guys there, and all three of those, I believe, saw more targets than him. I don't have it right here in front of me. Marquise Brown is a guy that could be a huge asset to the Arizona Cardinals and stretching the field, and just those short dump-off passes, which they lose with Chase Edmonds leaving. James Conner isn't really that guy to catch them screens and everything else. This guy, you could see a lot of wide receiver screens in a PPR, superflex league, getting him as your, where are we at? Getting him as your wide receiver 2, which is amazing. I think he has wide receiver 1 upside. So, yeah, getting Marquise Brown there is absolutely phenomenal. I love that pick. Another pick that I absolutely love is Darnell Mooney. Besides Cole Kmet, who else is catching the football in Chicago? Mooney is going to get peppered with targets. I absolutely love that pick. Pick that I hate, Singletary. I just don't like Buffalo's backfield.
Just it's short and sweet.
Short and sweet. I just don't like that backfield. I mean, every year they've added somebody else. They added James Cook this year. Last year it was Zach Moss. The year before that was Singletary. Who are they going to add next year? Are they going to add anybody? Is it all going to be James Cook? Singletary had a great coming out. You can't hate this pick because he's probably the best running back that was left on the board at this time. And
Tony Pollard's the one that I'm not crazy about in the 8th round, but for Lucas, he had taken Zeke 2 rounds earlier, so it made sense for him to make sure he got his handcuff. But I think that there was probably better options out there. There's actually a couple running backs in the 10th round that I would have taken over Devin Singletary or Tony Pollard potentially, but Tony Pollard's one that I get it based on the Zeke. Why don't you take us through the 9th round, Brent?
9th round is Juju Smith-Schuster, Chris Olave, love. Kareem Hunt, Amari Cooper, Isaiah Spiller, Mike Williams, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Ayuk, Ramondre Stevenson, Christian Watson, Allen Robinson, and Gabriel Davis. Absolutely love this round of where these players fell. There's only one name that I'm not a big fan of, and I'm sorry. This is your pick, Ramondre Stevenson. And I'm going to say this, and then everybody's going to laugh at it later on when I say the reason I don't like it. It's New England's backfield. We never know what Bill Belichick is going to throw out there week by week. Ramondre Stevenson in the 9th round, I understand where you're coming from. You wanted to shore up some, running back depth. You had Barkley and Jacobs, so I do understand where you're coming from. I think there's a few other names that I like better in the following 2 rounds. Actually, you grab one of those names I do like better. But yeah, Ramondre Stevenson in the New England backfield, it just scares me. Once again, we're not starting 3 running backs, so you do get the chance to just have them sit there on your bench as depth. Favorite pick in this round is Mike Williams. He's young. He re-signed with Herbert, staying in L.A. This guy has the potential to pass Keenan Allen in that offense and become the true number 1. Now, Keenan Allen will always be that possession guy until he leaves the Chargers. Mike Williams, he finished 12th in PPR formats. He was the wide receiver 1 through the first, 6 weeks before he missed some time? Yeah, since week 7 he got hurt. So, he was wide receiver 1, I believe, through the first 6 weeks of the season, wide receiver 1 or 2. This guy has the potential to pass Keenan Allen in that offense and has the potential to be a top 12 wideout, and getting him in the 9th round is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, Brent, I'm kind of similar to you. This round was pretty you could make the argument maybe DeAndre Hopkins was a little early with his age and his suspension, but it's still, the value's still there to me when he comes back. Amari Cooper is the one that I really don't like in this round, and only because I don't like having a wide receiver who's tied to Deshaun Watson, and we really don't know what that's going to look like. If Baker was playing ball more and was saying, I'll stick around, whatever, I might be a little more comfortable with it, but I just really am not a huge fan of that. Let's move right along into the 10th round here. At the 10-1, we had Michael Thomas, Elijah Moore, Dawson Knox, Pat Freiermuth, Melvin Gordon, Sky Moore, Dallas Goedert, Chase Edmonds, Irv Smith, Adam Thielen, James Robinson, and Cordell Patterson.
Cordell Patterson I absolutely hate having to take there, but I needed to shore up my running back depth, and so grabbing Cordell Patterson. I just don't know what Atlanta's backfield is really going to look like. You guys drafted a guy in Algier, and so Patterson just kind of scares me. I don't think he's going to get the work, but like I said, I wanted to add some depth, and I didn't see anything really better at that time to add depth that could put up the points that he can.
I love Cordero Patterson there. That's the running back 9 you're talking about that you just got in the 10th round, the last pick of the 10th round. Love him there. And the other pick that I really love is Adam Thielen in the 10th round. That's a guy who just finds a way to put up fantasy points. I love that in the 10th round.
Absolutely. So we're going to run right into the 11th. We're going to pick it up a little bit here because, we're running kind of these rounds are going the way they should. The 11th is Christian Kirk, Cole Kmet, Pierce, the Indianapolis wide receiver, Daniel Jones, Hunter Renfrow, Carson Wentz, Davis Mills, Noah Fant, Michael Carter, Mike Gesicki, Jared Goff, and Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, my favorite pick here is actually Johnny taking Marcus Mariota because his huge question marks were Deshaun Watson and Derek Carr, and he kind of did everything he kind of had to later to kind of try to shore up that quarterbacks as best you could this late. I absolutely love Marcus Mariota. If he happens to start 17 games in Atlanta, he's got the mobility. He can do it with the legs. He's going to have weapons. It should be a pretty good pick here in the 11th round. And I also liked Michael Carter there. I know a lot of people are kind of fading Michael Carter a little bit because of the Breeze Hall hype, but I absolutely think this is Robert Salah we're talking about coming from that San Francisco coaching tree under Kyle Shanahan. They like to use multiple backs. I really like I was the one who actually got Michael Carter here, and I really loved his value that late.
So my favorite pick is Cole Kmet in this round. This guy's 23. He's going into his third year. Normally the third year is where you see your tight end start to really break out. He's one of 2 pass catchers for Justin Fields right now, really. This guy has all the potential in the world to break out this year. They're planning on using him in different roles, so tight end, flex, all over. So Cole Kmet there is an amazing pick, and you're picking him up at the second pick in the 11th round. You get a young tight end to really show off. Another pick that I really like, I love Christian Kirk this year. I picked him in the 11-1. I absolutely love him this year. He's going into a slot role with Trevor Lawrence. I think his upside is amazing. These guys in here picking up Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz, Davis Mills, Jared Goff, and Marcus Mariota, very smart to shore up that quarterback room. When you're talking of, Deshaun Watson, Derek Carr, he grabbed Mariota, Davis Mills, and Kyler Murray. Amazing start there. I think Davis Mills has ample opportunity to be an upside. Running back Lamar Jackson and Carson Wentz on the same team. Your quarterbacks, I'm sorry, bud. I don't know about your quarterbacks. I can't say anything nice right now, so Mama told me don't say anything at all. And then Lucas grabbing Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, and Justin Herbert's. Absolutely love the upside there with Daniel Jones being your third quarterback. I'm going to run through the 12th round real quick unless you got something else for the 11th. Oh, go ahead.
I think the 12th round's mine if you don't mind stepping on my toes. You weigh too much to step on toes. In the 12-1, you got Baker Mayfield, followed by Rashad White, Tyler Algier, Malik Willis, George Pickens, Rashad Penny, Naeem Hines, Kadarius Toney, John Dotson, Matt Corral, Ronald Jones, and Zach Ertz. The one that I really love here, there's several I really love, and I could spend a lot of time in this round because I think there was a lot of value picked up in this round. But if I'll just keep it short. Naeem Hines, going to Steve with the Great White Buffaloes. Naeem Hines is a guy that even Frank Wright's coming out saying, I'd own stock in him if I could this year. This is a guy who last year finished his RB49 behind Jonathan Taylor, but they're not going to run Jonathan Taylor into the ground like they did last year. I absolutely love Naeem Hines.
Steve, I want to apologize for just my previous statement. I missed 2 quarterbacks in the middle of Mac Jones and Kenny Pickett. So you do have some good youth at your quarterbacks there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to knock you and then happen to miss 2 of your players. You do have some good youth there, Steve. Go ahead. I didn't mean to step on your toes.
All good. And then I really like George Pickens at the 12-5 as well. That's another guy that could come up. Pittsburgh does a really good job drafting and developing wide receivers. Be interesting to see what happens there.
My favorite pick here is the guy that was stolen from me, Malik Willis. I wanted him to be part of my team, and he was taken at the 12-4. I don't really hate this pick, so I absolutely love this pick there. Malik Willis has all the upside in the world, being able to sit a year behind Ryan Tannehill, which I understand, Bo, why you did take him. You do have Tannehill, so one injury away from being able to see Malik Willis unleashed. Penny, absolutely love this pick here. You're getting a guy that showed flashes at the end of the year. They're in the 12th round in a running back room that's going to probably be a committee. And the word of everything coming out with Chris Carson it just ups Penny's stock more, and you grab him in the 12th round. This is a guy that showed the potential to be an RB1. Yes, he does have the injury history, which is why I think it's an amazing pick in the 12th round, is you're not going to rely on him, but he's a guy that you can plug right in. Into the 13th round, Alexander Madison at the 1, Jimmy Garoppolo at the 2, Davis Price at 3, Khalil Herbert at the 4, Ritter at the 5, Claypool at the 6, Gallup at the 7, Damian Williams at Darrell Williams at the 8, Brian Robinson at the 9, Zamir White at the 10, Robert Woods at the 11th, and Marlon Mack at the 12.
My favorite pick's pretty simple. It's Robert Woods. This is a guy that could go in and be the number 1 target to start the year in Tennessee. I really like Robert Woods' value as he's so adequately, and the kids call him Bobby Trees. This is a guy that, he's been there, he's done that, he's put up the numbers. I really love him there.
Pick that I dislike in this round is Darrell Williams. Arizona backfield. He just recently signed there. He's sitting behind James Conner. Could possibly be sitting behind Eno Benjamin. This is a guy that's just going to be coming in, and he's just kind of going to be. I believe that he's just going to come in and spill a few carries here and there. I don't really see a whole lot of starting potential for him. So I'm just not a fan of taking Williams in that round there. One pick I love is Ritter. I absolutely love Ritter. I think he is going to have the chance to be Atlanta's future, and getting him here, getting a potential starting QB in the 13th round is amazing to really help shore it up your quarterback room. So I absolutely love Desmond Ritter there in the 13th round.
Let's go into the 14th. This is one of my favorite rounds as a whole, honestly. At the 14-1, Jarvis Landry, followed by Tyler Lockett, Trey McBride, Alan Lazard, Gus Edwards, Chuba Hubbard, Tyler Boyd, Kenneth Gainwell, Albert Okegunwanabum, Hassan Haskins, David Njoku, and David Bell. A lot of talent in this round that went really late, and I think the obvious one to me is Jarvis Landry, Tyler Lockett, and Alan Lazard all have chances to be the number 1 in their offense.
Absolutely. We've seen it with Lockett. Landry's going into offense with questionable Michael Thomas and rookie Chris Olave, and we've seen Landry thrive. So absolutely, those picks right there, Lockett, Lazard showed flashes last year. And
he's got Aaron Rodgers' confidence.
So many open, vacated targets with Adams leaving. So, yeah, those picks right there. One of my favorite picks in this round, though, is Tyler Boyd, another wide receiver. You're getting tied to one of the most pass-friendly offenses that can support. I think it can support 3 wide receivers to be fantasy relevancy. So getting Tyler Boyd in the 14th round is absolutely. This guy is a almost guaranteed plug-in flex play every week.
Yep.
So let's jump into the 15th round. Russell Gage, Darrell Henderson, Kenny Galladay, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Rondell Moore, KJ Osborne, John Mechie, sorry. Close that out. Tolbert, Tim Patrick, Jacoby Myers, Jamal Williams, and Mitch Trubisky to round out the 15th round.
Yeah, my favorite pick in this one is actually your pick at the 15-1, and that's Russell Gage. Russell Gage left Atlanta, where he was the guy at the end of the season when Ridley left. He's going in with Tom Brady. Tom Brady's doing nothing but hyping him up. You've got Chris Godwin missing time. Don't know who their tight end's going to be to start the season. Or I guess Cameron Brate, unless Gronk comes back. I absolutely love Russell Gage in the 15th round.
Absolutely. A pick that I really love in this round is... let me throw through. Where's it at? Tolbert going to Castle Black. This guy has the opportunity to slide into the number 2 role in Dallas and may never relinquish it, even with Gallup coming back. Tolbert there, once again, pass-friendly offense, great quarterback that loves to throw that ball. This kid's 23 years old, 6'1", 195. Going to be a nice target for Dak Prescott there in Dallas. I absolutely love this pick here.
All right, let's go to the 16th round. We got Keontae Ingram, the rookie that went to Arizona in that muddled backfield, which I think is a great pick when you talk about having James Conner as your RB1 earlier, or RB2, I'm sorry. You got Donovan Peoples-Jones, Calvin Ridley, Odell Beckham, J.D. McKissick, Brevin Jordan, Sam Darnold, Wan'Dale Robinson, McCole Hardman, Raheem Mostert, Kendrick Bourne, and Jelani Woods to round out the 16th round.
Absolutely.
Sam Darnold, I mean, getting a potential starting quarterback in the 16th round in a superflex league, I don't know if it gets any better than that.
No, not really, not in that round. You're like you said, you're down in 16th. The one pick that I really like here is Calvin Ridley at 16-3. This guy has shown amazing potential to be a top 5, top 10 wide receiver. I understand he's missing this year. You got him in the 16th round. He's probably out of the door in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably.
Odds are he's out the door in Atlanta. Even if he isn't, there's a great chance he's seeing the number 2 coverage when he does come back in Atlanta. Calvin Ridley in the 16th round, you put him down there at the bottom of your bench and you stash him. You got a top 20 wide receiver probably potentially sitting there.
Absolutely.
So that rolls us into the 17th round, and this is where I said you guys are going to laugh at me. Pierre Strong, I took it to 17-1. Nico Collins at the 2. Hunter Henry at the 3. Williams, the running back out of Los Angeles for the Rams. Josh Palmer. Van Jefferson, Justin Ross. Parker, New England wide receiver. Drew Lock, Chris Carson, Robert Tonyan, Sonny Michel. Sorry I'm not throwing out first names. I am drawing blanks. It is hot here, and the heat is starting to take over on me.
There's a couple picks that I'll talk about real quick. Devontae Parker in the 17th round. Again, this is a guy that has a chance to go in and be the number 1 option in his offense. Devontae Parker's been electric at times. I absolutely love Devontae Parker's value in the 17th round. And the pick here that's head scratching to me is Chris Carson. I get it; it's a complete dart throw, but this guy may never play football. Those X-ray pictures of his neck came out and emerged. Does not look good.
Yeah, the Carson pick does not look good now. When he did take him in the 17th round, this guy was a top 12 running back, or top 20 running back over the last few years. He did take him before those X-rays did come out, so it's understandable where he is. But yes, I absolutely hate that pick right now. I do believe you may have released him since the draft. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it's not looking good for Carson to ever play football again. The other head-scratching one is Kyron Williams, the Los Angeles Rams running back, who I actually love. But he broke his foot, and he's sitting behind Akers, Darrell Henderson. He may never actually make the team. Broken foot already, not looking good. You were a 6th-round draft pick, I believe. So odds are this guy is going to be a guy you're going to stash in your taxi, and you're probably going to end up dropping him before the start of next year. So there was ample names. I don't want to say ample. There's plenty of names that could have been drafted before him. Williams is just a head scratcher to me there. The one I absolutely love, Nico Collins, going into his 2nd year with Davis Mills. Brandon Cooks is really the only threat there to him. This guy could really emerge as something special in that offense. Now, I'm not a fan of the Texans' offense at all. I'm not, putting any top 10 draft stock, really. I guess I did. But outside of Brandon Cooks, there's not a whole lot of draft stock that I'm putting into that offense.
John Mechie, I'd take a gamble on too, but really, and the only reason Nico Collins and John Mechie you could take gambles on is because you don't know which one's going to be the 2, which one's going to be the 3,
Absolutely.
Which one lines up in the slot, which one doesn't. I think it's wide open there, and I actually am starting to ease my way into being on board with the Houston offense. I'm not the guy that was like 5 years ago, 2 years ago, oh, the Jets, gross, and not touch. If there's talent and it's available at the right price, and again, we're getting into the 18th round. Nico Collins is a steal on the 18th. 17th, I'm sorry.
Now roll us through that 18.
In the 18th round, the 18-1 was Brian Edwards, DJ Chark, Velus Jones, Curtis Samuel, Geno Smith. First defense off the board with the Dallas Cowboys, Buffalo Bills, KJ Hamler, Devin Duvernay, Snoop Connor, Romeo Dobbs, and Trey Sermon. I'll start us off. KJ Hamler is the pick here in this round that I'm absolutely obsessed with. Again, we're talking about Russell Wilson in town, not Drew Lock. The pass catchers in Denver should be night and day from what they were last year. And, yeah, you got your Cortland Sutton, you got your Jerry Jeudy to be the pecking order at the 1-2. But KJ Hamler could potentially be the next Tyler Lockett, potentially. I love that in this round.
Absolutely. One that I really like is Edwards there, Brian Edwards in Atlanta. after Drake London and Kyle Pitts, who's the rest of the pass catchers? That's wide open. You do got Mariota there or Ritter, who I absolutely love. So I think that ball's going to be spread out a lot. I think Edwards has the potential to be a great flex start week in and week out. Hamler is by far my favorite pick in this round. But if I had to go with my second one, it's going to be Edwards there. That's just that receiving core is so open behind Drake London that you really don't know what happened. And this guy is just a big-bodied wide receiver who, I mean, he's 6'3", 212, who's going to be an amazing red zone target. So I guess that leads to me into the 19th round.
It does.
Jameson Crowder at the 1, Jordan Love at the 2, Paris Campbell at the 3, Sammy Watkins at the 4, Khalil Shakur, I believe is how you say it, at the 5. Hayden Hurst at the 6, Austin Hooper at the 7, Corey Davis at the 8, Robbie Anderson at the 9, Mari Rogers at the 10, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense at 11, and our first kicker, and Evan McPherson is off the board at the 19-12. Favorite pick of this round is yours, Finley. Robbie Anderson. This guy is a field stretcher. He's getting Matt Corral in. He still has Sam Darnold as a starter, but this guy has shown plenty of potential to be a great wide receiver, 3 or 4 in the NFL. I mean, he finishes the wide receiver 48 last year. I understand, it doesn't sound so great. But he also hung up games like 15, 13, 12, 11, 10, which getting down in the 19th, 20th round is amazing there. I absolutely love that pick of the 19-9.
There's 2 that I could make a toss-up for. One is Corey Davis. Last year, Corey Davis would have been 10 rounds in front of this with where his hype train was. And I'm not so sure. Again, we're talking about the Jets. Yes, they drafted Garrett Wilson this year. They drafted Elijah Moore last year, who showed great flashes. But Corey Davis was going to go in as the bona fide number 1.
And is still being paid as the bona fide number 1.
He is. And I still think there's fantasy relevancy there, especially in the 19th round. And then my second favorite is Evan McPherson. I'm not sure it gets any better than that in a dynasty startup as a kicker. The guy is 22 years of age. He's going into his second year, and he could kick. He kicks clutch field goal after clutch field goal for the Bengals.
As he tells you he's going to go do it.
As he tells you he's going to go do it. And he can kick a Gatorade bottle lid off from like 50 yards. I mean, it just doesn't get any better. Let's go to the 20th round. At the 21, you had Julio Jones, followed by Justin Tucker, Tyler Bass, Laviska Shenault, Dante Foreman, Terrence Marshall, Daniel Carlson, Evan Ingram, the Rams defense, Sam Howell, Kenyon Drake, and Kyle Trask. My favorite pick in this round is honestly, it's Evan Ingram. Again, we're thinking that the Jacksonville Jaguars offense is going to be completely different than what we've seen in the past. Doug Peterson's the head coach there. If I'm not mistaken, Doug Peterson was the head coach in Philly when Zach Ertz blew up and became really a top 5 tight end. And Evan Ingram's been a guy that a lot of people have held hope out for in the last several years, that he's fell short because of injuries or not gotten opportunities. He should get plenty of opportunity with Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville this year.
My favorite is Sam Howell there at the 2010. Carson Wentz has had ample injuries in his past. Sam Howell's just biting at the bit to be a starter there. Getting a potential Week 5 on starter and Sam Howell in the 20th round is amazing. It's a great opportunity for that 20th round pick. And, I mean, he just gets stashed on your taxi until that injury happens to Carson Wentz. And, well, they're at Washington's Field, and we all know what happens there.
Everybody gets hurt.
So I'm going to roll into the 21st round. Jacoby Brissett at the 1. Greg Dulac at the 2. Ford, the Cleveland running back that was drafted this year, Jerome Ford at the 3. Rob Gronkowski at the 4. Sam Fran's defense at the 5. Tyler Beatty at the 6. Deontay Johnson at the 7. Dearness. Jeez Louise. Thornton, the wide receiver out of New England, at the 8. Young Ho Koo at the 9. The Chargers defense at the 10.
Isaiah Pacheco
at the 11. I apologize. And New England Patriots defense at the 12.
Yeah, this is where it's starting to get deep, right? It's kind of muddled. My favorite here is going to be a complete homer pick, and it's Tyler Beatty there in Baltimore. This guy put up 1,600 yards behind the line of scrimmage at Mizzou last year in the SEC, and he's going into a backfield with, yes, it has J.K. Dobbins, and yes, it has Gus Edwards, and the best running back quarterback of all time in Lamar Jackson.
But of all time?
Yeah, he's better than Mike Vick.
Okay.
At his craft. I know that's hard for me to say as a Falcons fan. But Tyler Beatty's a guy that I don't expect him to get opportunity. And again, this late, you're kind of throwing darts, right? But if this guy happens to get an opportunity to show what he can do behind an NFL caliber offensive line, he's going to put up numbers. And I really like Tyler Beatty. You know, he was a guy I was very hyped about prior to the draft. And I don't necessarily love where he fell, but I really like Tyler Beatty if he gets an opportunity.
Talk about deep, you talk about gamblers, you're talking about Rob Gronkowski. You're not even sure if he's going to sign, but getting him in the 21st round, and the only way he's probably coming back this year is if he's reunited with Tom Brady. You're looking at a top 10 potential tight end in the 21st round. I absolutely love this chance here. You get to sit all off season drafting him in the 21st round. Just wait and see if he comes back or not. I absolutely love Rob Gronkowski this late.
All right, 22nd round, you had the Indianapolis Colts, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Kyle Phillips, Myles Gaskin, Teddy Bridgewater, the Ravens defense, the Browns defense, the Saints defense, the Packers defense, Damian Williams, Cedric Wilson, and the Denver Broncos defense. Again, there's a lot of defenses here, and really in a dynasty, that's kind of a crapshoot because you never know which defense is going to be good year in and year out. I won't pick on myself here because I know you're going to talk about my pick a little bit.
There's really not a whole lot of players
there's really not a whole lot to talk about here. It's kind of a defensive round, and I know you're going to talk about the guy I'd like to, so have at it.
I'm going to talk about Myles Gaskin. This guy finished as the 24th running back in PPR last year, and he's sitting behind injury-riddled Sony Michel, Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds. This guy is just biting to be a top 30 running back. I know he's sitting behind all those names, but he's already been part of this team. He's gotten his opportunity. He's shown plenty of flashes. In the 22nd round, getting a guy that finished top 24 last year is going to be phenomenal. I know the additions may scare a lot of people, but I still think Gaskin has that upside. Yes, he has to wait for an injury, but I think this guy has tremendous upside. So we're going to roll into the 23rd round. And we got Miami Dolphins defense, Cincinnati's defense, Bellinger, the New York Giants tight end, Philadelphia Eagles defense, James Washington, Harris, the New England running back, not Damian.
Kevin,
thank you. Arizona Cardinals defense, Titans defense, Jeremy Ruckert, tight end for the Jets, Tyler Higbee, Zay Jones, and the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Blah.
You know, Daniel Bellinger's one. I don't know a whole lot about Daniel Bellinger myself, but again, we just talked about Evan Ingram leaving New York and how we were expecting him to break out. Again, we're talking 23rd round here, and, you know, Jeremiah already has T.J. Hawkinson and Hunter Henry on his roster. A dart throw at a guy like Daniel Bellinger, who could end up becoming the tight end and the starting tight end in the New York Giants offense, I absolutely love this late.
Absolutely. James Washington is a guy I love this late in Dallas. He's another guy that he's got 4 years of experience. He's played with noodle arm Ben Roethlisberger and pretty much his whole career, so he's never got a chance to really flash his speed. But he's going into Dallas. This guy has the opportunity to really be a field stretcher there in Dallas. So I absolutely love throwing a dart here in the 23rd round with Washington there.
All right, let's get into the 24th round. You had Abraham Smith, the running back for New Orleans, Chris Evans, Tyler Huntley, Calvin Austin, Matt Gay, A.J. Green, Danny Gray, Gerald Everett, Will Fuller, Samaje Perine, Noah Gray, and Harrison Butker. My favorite pick in this round is real simple, and it's A.J. Green. You're talking about a guy who, again, he's 33 years of age, so we're probably well past our prime now. But we're talking about a guy who, in his past, has had several seasons as a wide receiver one. You are talking about those vacated targets through the first 6 weeks with DeAndre Hopkins and his suspension. You are talking about Christian Kirk's outgoing targets. I don't look for A.J. Green to be a guy that you're going to start. But this could be a guy that if something absolutely happens and you had to plug him in, there's a strong possibility he comes down with a touchdown catch. He's a big body guy. They use him a lot in the red zone in Arizona. And without DeAndre Hopkins being there, those targets are going to be wide open.
So the guy that I really love, and I know we're not talking about picks that we don't like in these rounds. I mean, there's really no pick that we don't like in these rounds. You're talking deep dives. one of the picks that I like is this Noah Gray, tight end, going into his second year with the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs lost Tyreek Hill. So it's going to be a lot more focused on Travis Kelce. Noah Gray has the opportunity to step in as the tight end 2 there. They're probably going to run a few more tight end 2 sets. And you're also going to see Kelce flashing out and probably to the wide receiver. Noah Gray's got an opportunity to get on the field right away, and he's also backing up one of the older top tight ends in the NFL. So this is a guy that he's got a shot to get on the field this year. And like I said, he's backing up Kelce. We're not sure how much Kelce has left at 32 years old. So, I mean, Noah Gray has that opportunity to really, really jumpstart his career this year in Kansas City. So we're going into 25, and Adam Troutman.
Three rounds left.
Troutman, Dustin Hopkins, kicker for the Chargers, Marvin Jones, York, the kicker out of Cleveland, rookie kicker out of Cleveland, Matt Prater, Gardner Minshew, Benny Snell, Anthony Schwartz, Minnesota Vikings defense, Matt Breida, who's with the Giants now, Keyshawn Vaughn in the round he should have been drafted in, and the Washington Commanders defense.
My favorite one here, I'll make it short and sweet, Marvin Jones. This is a guy he's been a bona fide stud at that position before. Again, he was really hyped up last year going to Jacksonville. The offense fell on its face. I want to see what that offense does this year and getting a dart throw it again. Potential number 1 in that offense. Yes, I know they threw the bag at Christian Kirk. A lot of people are a lot higher than Christian Kirk than I am. I absolutely love Marvin Jones in the 25th round. Again, in a shorter draft, in a 10-man draft that's only 22 rounds, you're talking about this guy going undrafted. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love Marvin Jones this late.
One of my favorite picks is Matt Breida. He always comes in and spills a good workload when the lead back gets hurt or banged up. I think Breida has it backing up Saquon Barkley this year. Matt Breida has the opportunity. We know Saquon Barkley has that injury history every single year. Breida's got a good opportunity to be able to come in and play a few games this year and really, really get some fantasy relevant points.
All right, 26th round. Jake Ferguson, Sterling Shepard, James Prochet, Logan Thomas, Jonnu Smith, James White, Kellen Mond, Mark Ingram, Cameron Brate, Tony Jones, Eno Benjamin, and Braxton Berrios. My favorite one, again, short and sweet. Cameron Brate. If he becomes the tight end 1 and Gronk doesn't come back and play, we all know how much Tom Brady loves his tight ends. Absolutely love Cameron Brate as the tight end 1 in Tampa Bay in the 26th round.
Absolutely. Pick that I really like here is, let me roll through, James White. In a PPR league, getting James White in the 26th round, he always catches balls. He always seems to be involved with that pass game in New England. Short dump offs. I absolutely love James White.
Boy, for a guy who really doesn't like the New England backfield, you sure like the New England backfield.
I hated on him 2 times, and this is the only one I like in the 26th round. So I just think that he's got upside in a PPR league, and in a draft this deep, this is a great guy to be able to hold the back. So let's go into the final round. 27. We got Tylan Wallace, Tyler Heineke, Auden Tate, Nelson Aguilar, Boston Scott, Antonio Wesley, Randall Cobb, O.J. Howard, Andy Dalton, Chris Boswell,
C.J.
Uzma, and Darnold Parham, is the Mr. Relevant Parham. So, yeah, kind of irrelevant.
Okay,
what is he, though?
Let's go ahead and skip this round unless there's somebody you really, really want to touch on because, again, it's super late, extreme dart throws here. Let's pick a roster apiece here that we absolutely love that's going to contend this year, and then we'll talk about the worst roster in the league.
Okay, well, while we flip through these rosters, I want to talk about my trade real fast. I made a trade right after the draft with trading Russell Wilson and Brandon Cooks for Trevor Lawrence, Elijah Moore, and a 2023 first-round rookie pick. Now, I know I was set up pretty decently with Allen and Wilson, but that being traded, that was 11 years younger for my quarterback, so I'm sitting with Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence for years to come. So shipping Russell was kind of a hard thing to do, but not a bad trade in my mind, I don't think. Do you have any input on that one there, on what my trade did?
No,
you look through?
No, not tremendously. There's been a lot of trades made. I'll just go ahead and walk through, I think one of my favorite teams, and that's Ryan Frank. Again, he drafted Dak Prescott in the first round, which was kind of a reach maybe, but he's got Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson now after that trade, so he's got two quarterbacks that could finish easily top 10. He's got DeAndre Swift, who I think could make a run at running back 1. He's got Mark Andrews, potential running back 1. The question marks for me really are the wide receivers here, but I think he's deep enough at wide receiver with Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown, Allen Robinson, Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, and Tyler Lockett that he could make a run and really substantiate that. He's also got Jared Goff for his bye week fill-in quarterback. I really like this team. I think it's a team that could compete early and often.
Absolutely. One of the teams that I really like is Seth Iceberg with Kyler Murray, Chris McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, Jalen Waddle, and Travis Kelce right there to sum up your first 5 picks. Amazing start, great base to start with. You got some youth in there, but you got some older vets there. And then you got Tom Brady as your QB2. Well, we all know what Tom Brady can do. As long as Tom Brady doesn't find his cliff, which he's yet to find, I think you're great at quarterback. I think your running backs are very good with CMC and Nick Chubb, and then you got CEH to back it up. Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce. He's going to finish top 3, barring any injuries. The thing that scares me is you have DeAndre Hopkins, who's missing 6 weeks, and Michael Gallup, who's also hurt. So your starting wide receivers right now are Jalen Waddle and Darnell Mooney.
And Sky Moore, because it's
a three wide receiver league. So that's really where my question mark is your flex starts. You have CEH, absolutely love, and like I said, I like Penny there. Your flex starts are what your question marks. But I absolutely love the base of your team that you have here, and I think having that base, you got McCaffrey, who hangs 30 points a week, 25 to 30 points a week, Kelce and Murray, all of those guys are going to give you that strong base to where I think you definitely are going to be in contention.
And real quick, I just want to add, there's one team in my mind that's set away from everybody else that's going to be competing for the 101 in the Dynasty rookie draft next year, and that's Team Finley 73, my own team. I think I've got way too many question marks here. I went way too often with my gut over the smart pick. Trey Lance and Ryan Tannehill as your starting quarterbacks in a super flex is not great. My wide receivers are all super young, and Justin Jefferson, Drake London, Garrett Wilson. Running backs are huge question marks, and Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley. So if anybody wants the 101 in next year's draft, you better be trying to come trade correct with your boy. But that does conclude our breakdown of this Dynasty Superflex. Hopefully you guys kind of see some of the picks that slid a little bit, some of the names that you can get later in your draft. And if anybody's interested, we'll definitely update weekly on some huge scores, some guys that may or may not have Amber Hearded the bed a little bit. But as always, stay hungry.
And stay fat, my friends.